Long ago, in the great green forest, there were once four young birds who were all so very different, with very different experiences. Yet what they all had in common was their self-doubt. Minerva, who was a wise old snowy owl, had personally met all four birds, and she saw beauty in all of them. The first bird she met was a young magpie named Maggie. Maggie was very close to a lovely lady who she always visited. "Hello, Maggie," the lady always told her. Maggie would always eat the food the young lady fed to her, and in return the young bird would sing the most melodic songs. However, when the lady wasn't home, her son would be there, staring at Maggie in disgust. "Shoo!" he would yell. Frightened, Maggie always flew back to her tree in the great green forest. It always upset her whenever the boy pushed her away. But one day, Maggie decided to visit Minerva. "Why doesn't he like me?" she asked the ancient owl. "Do not worry, my dear," Minerva told her. "Not everyone will like your song, but that's what makes you so unique." Maggie visited the lady's home once again, but she wasn't there. Instead, it was her son. This time, he smiled at her softly. "Hey, Maggie." Minerva was right. Maggie was beautiful just the way she was, and by being herself, she would bring joy to everyone in the great green forest, including her old friend's son. Minerva then learned about the journey of the emu Henry and the kiwi Ryan, who were the best of friends. One day they played together in the forest, but suddenly they looked up to see a flock of magpies soaring high in the sky. They were so amazed and dumbstruck that they didn't even notice that Mikey, one of the kookaburras, had approached them. "Why don't you go and fly with them?" he asked. "Because we can't fly," the duo chirped. After a lot of arguing, Mikey finally convinced Henry and Ryan to learn how to fly. The three birds met at a cliff. As part of Mikey's training, Henry and Ryan ran to the edge of the cliff and jumped. Bump! They fell to the ground. Mikey flew away without warning, but Henry and Ryan were still dazed. "What good is of a bird if they can't fly?" he cried. Henry and Ryan started to cry and sob. "What's wrong, my dears?" Minerva asked, fluttering to the young bird's side. The duo lamented about how they couldn't fly like other birds. "Yes, neither of you can fly, but that doesn't determine your worth," Minerva told them. "Instead of thinking about the things you can't do, think about the things you can do." Minerva then left Henry and Ryan to ponder on her words. Henry later used his long, sturdy legs to protect himself and Ryan from vicious human hunters. Meanwhile, Ryan used his nocturnal nature to do some extra hunting for himself and Henry. Together, they helped each other with their respective skills, and the other birds' taunts and insults stopped fazing them. The fourth bird Minerva met was a young peahen named Jasmine. For her whole life, she didn't know where she belonged. Jasmine already knew that she didn't belong with the vibrant peacocks, who were so confident with who they were and who they associated with. Jasmine visited many nests and talked to many birds, but she couldn't fit in with any of them. She wasn't soft and gentle like the hummingbirds. She wasn't vain and shallow like the flamingos. And she definitely wasn't fierce and ruthless like the eagles. Jasmine gave up and fluttered around the woods hopelessly. "You don't have to fit in with them," Minerva fluttered on the bench that poor little Jasmine was weeping on. "Why not?" she asked. "What good am I if I can't relate to the other birds?" "Because you're not the other birds, my dear," Minerva told her. You're not a peacock, a hummingbird, a flamingo, or an eagle. You are Jasmine, and that's all you need to be. Your worth isn't determined by how well you fit in with others. It's better to stand out." Jasmine took a deep breath and pondered on Minerva's words. It was hard for her to process, but eventually Jasmine came to terms with being the only peahen in the great green forest, and took pride in her authentic self, which turned out to be a mixture of what the other birds valued. Minerva watched over the four birds as they all did beautiful things with their lives and heeded her advice. Everyone's beautiful and different in their own way. and being your most authentic self is the most important